Hi, I'm Liz Kantner, and I am a content creator and marketer within the jewelry industry. I'm going to be talking about Instagram and what's working now. In this video, I'm going to share an overview of Instagram. I'm going to talk about what has changed. I'm going to share where and how to post, and I'm going to finish off with what I think you should be focusing on to find success. So, why Instagram? Instagram is the most important social media platform, in my opinion. It's the best place to share your brand story, connect with your clients, and generate quality leads. It's incredibly user friendly, and customers of all ages are there and comfortable shopping there. So that's why I think it's so important. There are 4 different places to post on Instagram. First is the feed, and this is static posts. You want to think about your feed, which is your main profile page, as a secondary website. You want people who visit your profile to understand who you are and what you sell at a glance. Then you have stories, and these are photos and videos, up to 60-second videos, and they appear together in a slideshow format, and these last 24 hours unless you save them to a highlight. And then you have lives. You can show up live for your audience, and this broadcast can be up to 4 hours, and it can be saved in your Reels tab. So there is no video tab anymore. All video on Instagram is now a Reel. And Reels are videos up to 90 seconds, so very short form video. And these can be shared in your feed as well. So you can share a preview in your feed, and then they live on your Reels tab. Before I get into what has changed, I want to talk about the algorithm and really tell you what it is. The algorithm has changed, first off, and a lot of the techniques you used to use in the past to grow your following aren't working anymore. So, just to explain what the algorithm is, Instagram's algorithm calculates how likely somebody is to interact with a post, which ultimately determines the order of the posts and how they're displayed in your feed. So, Instagram is doing this because they want you to stay on the platform as long as possible. So, if they're serving you content that you're more likely to engage with, then you're going to stay on the platform longer. And that is their goal. So this is really determined by interest. So for example, I love jewelry. So if I were to look at my explore page, it is all jewelry posts, and I can discover new artists that I want to follow there. It's also determined by when you post, how often you post, and who you interact with. So all of this is taken into consideration when this computer system is determining how things show up in your feed and where your posts show up in your followers' feeds. So since I said that, what the algorithm is taking into account has changed a little bit, you really want to focus on some different things. First off, shareable content. So shares are a form of engagement that are really helpful to expanding your reach. This is people sharing to their stories or sharing a post with a friend. This is a great way for more people to see your content. And then savable content. This is more important than a like, because this is something that means somebody is putting your content in a place that they're going to come back to. So if you save content, you can go back and look at it later. So Instagram sees these two things as your content is really valuable because people want to share it and they want to come back and view it later. So these are two things you want to think about when you're looking at metrics, when you're creating content, when you're creating your calls to action. You want to think about shareable and savable content. Other things to think about with Instagram that are different than how we used to think about them are, we want a more personalized feed. We want more personalized content in general. We want it to feel authentic. So no longer focusing on a beautifully curated feed with generic stock photos or white background images. You want to share your story. You want more casual content. You might notice now when you look at your top posts or posts that perform really well for you, that a selfie or anything that contains something that shares a personal story or more about your life or your inspiration is performing better than a picture of a piece of jewelry. So that's something you want to think about. You really want to avoid marketing to the masses and speak directly to your client. So along those same lines, you want to think more niche. Huge growth and being everything to everyone is no longer the goal and will not work for you and also won't help you grow your following. Actually, the more you lean into your niche and what makes your brand unique, the more you'll grow. There are a few new feed options with Instagram too. So now you can choose to view your feed by who you're following. So they're not going to show you any ads if you choose this option, and everything's going to be in chronological order. Something else that you can really use to your advantage is this new favorites option. So you can save up to 50 accounts as favorites and just view their content. So something you might want to do is encourage your followers to add you to their favorites so that you can more precisely guarantee that they're seeing your content. And then also something you could do is add top clients and prospects to your favorites. So when you're viewing content, when you're going on Instagram to engage with people and to see what people are posting, you're really strategic about how you're spending your time. So I want to share some best practices when it comes to your profile. Having a strong profile will be really helpful for your success on Instagram. So I always encourage designers and artists, especially if your name is your brand name, to use a photo of you and not your logo. Use a headshot from the waist up that really shows your face really well. That will provide a better connection with the clients who are viewing your profile. So I think that using a photo of you versus a logo makes for a stronger profile. I also think that it's really important to be very clear about who you are and what you do. So make sure your bio is very precise in what you're doing. Be very clear about who you are and what you do. And then also have a really strong call to action. So you can see from my profile, I have work with me and an arrow to click on my website. So if you click there, you'll find out ways to work with me. So for you, you might want to have shop here, click here to shop my new collection, sign up for my email list. Make sure it's really clear what your call to action is and what link you want them to click on and why. And then also something that's really helpful for a strong profile is making sure your highlights align with your messaging. So for me, I talk about Instagram. I manage people's Instagram accounts. So my first highlight bubble is about Instagram. So if you were to head there, I'd share a lot of information about how to find success on Instagram. And then also I'm in Asheville, North Carolina. That's a big part of the story I'm telling, part of my life, something I share. So that's one of my highlight bubbles. And then I love jewelry. That's a big part of what I share and what I do as well. So I have a couple of highlights sharing the jewels I wear daily, my personal collection. And then I have a highlight that is all about working with me. So if somebody were interested in working with me, they could find out more there. So think about being really thoughtful about your highlights and what stories you save and how you organize them, and make sure they align with your key messaging and what you're trying to get across. Hashtags are a topic that I get asked about frequently, and they aren't quite as effective as they used to be, but they can still be an important part of your strategy. So this is how you want to think about hashtags. You want to think about what your client might be searching. So you want to think about something a little bit more niche. You don't want to use hashtags that are too broad. For example, hashtag jewelry. You don't want to use that. You want to choose niche hashtags with less than 200,000 people using them. You also don't need to put your hashtags in the first comment. You can include them in your caption after a line break, or you can put them in the first comment if that feels better for you. It doesn't matter. It works both ways. And then I also want to encourage you to use geotags. So this is putting your location in, and you don't have to put your exact location, but if you have a local audience, so for me, I would put Asheville, North Carolina. But if I were at a trade show in New York, I would put wherever I am in New York City, probably the Javits Center. And just so that if you're promoting a specific event in a specific location, you're reaching people who are in that location. And then if you have a local business you're trying to grow, or you have a studio where you're making your jewelry and you're looking to build your audience there, using geotags can be really effective. I also think a really fun idea with hashtags is to create a branded hashtag. So for example, Gem Gossip, a jewelry blogger in our industry, created a hashtag many years ago called Show Me Your Rings, and many people use it. And you can find some great photos and discover new brands that way. So I think it's a really fun idea for a brand to create a branded hashtag and encourage their audience to use it. I also think hashtagging your brand name should be part of what you're doing. Another question I get a lot about Instagram is when to post. So, what I recommend is looking at when your followers are online. So, this is a screenshot from my insights on Instagram. So, something I want to pause and mention is if you have an Instagram account that you're using for your business, I'd really encourage you to switch over to a business account if you haven't already, because it gives you access to insights that you cannot access otherwise. So this is pulled from my insights tab. This is showing me on Fridays when most of my followers are online. So I'd probably want to post at noon. But I really encourage you to also experiment, because it might turn out that posting at 9 a.m. is better. Maybe you're getting more engagement at that time, even if you're not getting more likes, maybe you got more comments. It's something to experiment with and play with, but also don't get too focused on posting at an exact time, or posting when most of your followers are online, because what I want you to do is get really consistent. So if the time of day that you can post is 6 p.m., and maybe that's not when most of your followers are online, but that's something you can commit to doing regularly, I'd rather you do that, because when I'm asked how often you should be showing up, how often you should be posting, it just needs to be consistently. So maybe you can commit to one really thoughtful post a week on Mondays and you stick to that. That's going to be more beneficial for you than trying to post every single day of the week and not being able to do that. So, what should you be posting? What's working? I think that really being clear about what your brand is and knowing your messaging and being consistent in that is the best way to find success. So, here's how I like to think about it to help me stay consistent. I like to think about having different content types. So, having two primary, and this is your key messaging. These are the main things you want to be talking about, and it's going to be 70% of the content you're sharing. And then you have three secondary, and this is really covering what makes your brand unique, and it really supports your key messaging. A few questions to consider when you're kind of coming up with this is, what will my ideal client connect with? How will my content stand out? How will this content help my brand stand out? How will this content relate back to my product? So if you are posting about cooking because you love cooking and that's something you want to share, and that's a place that you get really creative, maybe you share a post. I had a lot of fun cooking today. I came up with this new recipe. I loved being creative in a way that I can't be with my collection, because my collection is really like clean lines and really precise. So I love having both of these creative outlets. Always think about how you can tie your content that isn't directly sharing a piece of jewelry back to your product. So I want to talk about Instagram stories, because this is a really important piece of the platform. I like to think of Instagram stories as insider content for my followers. So it's a way to further nurture people who are already following you and already interested in your brand. And here's why they're important. Because when you start to watch one, they continue to play. So you get kind of sucked in and you keep watching stories. But also, it provides content that feels very in the moment and creates an urgency to watch them before they disappear, because not all stories are saved to highlights. So there's this urgency to watch them before they disappear. And also, I think that really authentic content that feels real and not like overly produced or fake, is the most effective right now. And I think stories is the best place to kind of create that content. But the best part about Instagram stories is that it's a really easy place for your followers to access your direct messages. So if I'm posting a one of a kind garnet necklace, I can say, shoot me a message if you love this piece. And there's a box right there that somebody could write to me. And whether they purchase the piece or not, that becomes a lead. That's a one-on-one conversation you're having with a potential client. Something else I love about Instagram stories is there's a lot of opportunities to encourage engagement there. So one thing I love encouraging designers to do is grow your email list, because I think email marketing is an important thing to include in your marketing strategy. But a great way to collect emails, if you're looking to grow your list, is to make it very simple and utilize this question box feature in Instagram stories to invite people to sign up for your monthly newsletter. And they can just drop their email in there and you can add them to the list. They don't have to click off the platform or anything like that. Other really great ways to encourage your followers to engage with you are by utilizing polls and quizzes. Those are really fun, really easy ways for people to engage. And also we can now link to products or link to, link out from stories. So that's something that you definitely want to utilize. Make sure you have a strong call to action, like click here to shop, and also invite people to message you as well if they want to. So don't just send them off the platform. You can also invite people to direct message you. You can learn a lot about your audience by using some of these features. Another fun way to use the question box is asking people what their favorite gemstone is. I often ask people what's on their jewelry wish list, or I encourage people to show me their daily jewelry, and then I'll show my daily jewelry. So it's a great way to collect user-generated content and to learn more about your followers. Because if you find out that a lot of people in your following love opals, and maybe you were just thinking about, maybe I should make some opal pieces, I'm kind of inspired by them, that could really push you to add opal pieces to your collection. So I think there's a lot of fun ways to connect with your audience. I also want to say that whenever you're doing an event, you're launching a collection, you're planning a live video, set a reminder and do a countdown clock. That's a great way to build up to your collection launch or whatever you're doing, and also encourage people to set a reminder. So Instagram will notify them if they choose to click on, to add a reminder. And that also lets you know who in your following really is interested in this collection launch or this live or anything like that. So again, a way to learn a lot about your audience. And this is a newer one. This is an add yours. So if I posted show me your rings with this, you could then click on it and then show me a picture of your rings. And then all of the people who are posting to this sticker here, it'll all show up and you can view everybody's rings who have added to this. So that's a fun way to, again, encourage people to create content with you, to share with you, and engage with you. So let's talk about Reels. This is a really hot and important topic because Instagram is prioritizing video, and short form video in general, video content is a powerful thing. It helps bring the offline online. When somebody sees a piece of jewelry in motion from every angle, it feels like they had seen it in person. It builds trust. They feel more confident in purchasing the product because they've seen it from every angle. Also, having a bunch of photos on your product page is another way to do this, but video does it in a way that is much more impactful. So video is important. Instagram's prioritizing it. And it's something that you want to think about working into your strategy. And you want to think about how you can create these real videos in a way that makes sense for you. So you don't need to become a video editor. You don't need to be doing crazy transitions. You don't need to be dancing in front of the camera. What I'd really encourage you to start with is just show your jewelry in motion, maybe do a voiceover talking about the piece or what inspired it or what's special about it. Or you can just pair it with trending audio. So you can tell if audio is trending if there is a little up arrow next to the audio. So as you're thinking about Reels and creating them, what I'd encourage you to do is go on Reels and watch them and swipe up and see what people are creating, and also look at the audio. So as you come across audio that you like and is also trending, you can take that audio and save it and come back to it later to use in a reel. So gathering all of the audio you want to use in advance, I find to be very helpful. Again, it doesn't have to be overly edited. You can just share a video of a piece of jewelry in motion. And then also, it doesn't even have to be video. You can create a slideshow and just use static images. Maybe you share your 5 favorite rings from your collection and you're just white background images. Maybe each slide is up for 1.5 seconds. You pair that slideshow with trending audio and you've got yourself a great video. If you're not doing video, again, I think you need to do it. It's a great way to expand your reach on Instagram. It's a great way to showcase your work. And it's something really important to consider doing. I will also say that I wouldn't switch to only doing video. I think that some people really value and appreciate static photos. So that's something you want to keep in the mix too, but start incorporating video as a way to tell your story and showcase your collections. So I'm going to share the 10 things I think you should be focusing on now to find success before we wrap up this video. First off, as I was just talking about, video is so important. It's something you really want to be considering adding to your strategy. It doesn't have to be overly edited. You don't have to switch to only doing video, but incorporating video will help you grow. Carousel posts are really engaging for many reasons. I would say with carousel posts, always have a call to action, swipe to see this piece in progress, swipe to see more views of this ring, have that call to action there. One of the reasons carousel posts are really engaging is because first off, simply swiping is an act of engagement, but also if somebody scrolls past your carousel post originally, Instagram will serve it to them again with the second slide within that carousel. So it gives your followers more opportunities to engage with your posts. And then as I talked about earlier, Instagram stories is something really important to focus on just because it's so easy for somebody to get in a one-on-one conversation with you. Shares, think about encouraging people to share your content. This is the best way to grow your following. Captions. So I think that writing longer captions is really a great way to build engagement with your audience and really tell your story. It doesn't mean you have to write a long caption for every single one of your posts, but think about how you can really tell a story and talk to your audience. Use I statements and write like you speak. Some people really love reading. I love reading. So I think that having a longer, more thoughtful caption every once in a while is a great way to build engagement and build trust with your audience. Use line breaks when you're doing this so that it's easier to consume. And also always with all of your posts, no matter the length, end with a strong call to action. Conversations are really important. So talking to your followers and inviting them to talk to you. Even if you're having conversations about your dog and your followers' dog and what you're having for dinner and stuff that doesn't feel like it's leading to a sale, will build trust with that follower so that when you do post a piece of jewelry that they love, they will feel very comfortable reaching out to you for a price, or they'll feel comfortable like they know you and feel good about going to your website and adding something to their cart and purchasing it. Direct messages, this is where the sales happen. And even if it's not sales, you're really creating quality leads there. Consistency, this one is so important. I manage a lot of Instagram accounts. I've been managing Instagram accounts for, I think, 10 years, more than 10 years at this point. And something that has worked before, but is really working now is consistency, showing up regularly, telling your story, being really clear on the message that you're trying to get across. This is what's working. Consistency is the number one thing that's working on Instagram, in my opinion. So get really clear on your brand, figure out how often you can show up, and stick with it. Individual connection is another thing that's really important. So getting bigger by thinking smaller. So focusing on what makes your brand unique, leaning into your niche, that is going to help you grow. And the last thing that I think is really important to focus on is community. Creating a community leads to loyalty and trust, and it's something you can use this platform to do really well. So share your brand values, listen to your audience, encourage user-generated content, encourage people to chat with you, and try live videos. These are great tools to help create a community around your brand. If you have any questions at all about Instagram, feel free to contact me. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching.